Hello fly tyers, welcome to another episode of Aaron at the Fly Desk. We just got back from an amazing trip in Alaska, and so today I'm going to show you one of the flies that we used up there that was very effective. The salmon weren't running as hard as they normally do. We usually go up in August. This time we tried July. It was still beautiful, still caught some huge fish, totally worth the trip. Love fly fishing in Alaska. It's just a different, a whole different experience. You know, it's still fun to catch a 10-inch trout on a 3-weight fly rod, but when you're catching a, 10 to 15 pound salmon on an 8-weight fly rod, that's a whole nother game, and it is fun. So, today we will be tying on a size 2 Mustad 36-890 hook, and you can see it's got the up eye. The other thing these hooks have is the eye is actually not sealed over, it just kind of bends over, and the whole point of that is when you're fishing, with big hooks, a lot of times you're using big leader. We use 20-pound leader when we're up in Alaska, and so what you do is when you're tying the head of the fly with the thread, depending on how big your leader is, that's how close you get to the eye of the hook. When you're sucking that thread down to tie it all together. So what we found in fishing for salmon, we typically fish for our salmon of choice, obviously, is silver salmon, but we fish for pink salmon and chum salmon, also called the dog salmon. Now, dog salmon, they're not very good eating. We've always just turned them back. But the pink salmon and silver salmon, especially the silver salmon, are absolutely amazing. Every once in a while you can luck into a king salmon on a fly rod. My son did that a few years ago, and that was an experience. So what we have found is pink is the color of choice where we go in Alaska, and I don't know why, but salmon absolutely love it. The other thing that we try to do on our salmon flies is we make them as bright and shiny as we can, and so we use a lot of crystal flash, and so this is some that I've had forever. It's a kind of a pearl pink color, and I just pull out a whole hunk of that, and typically I make my tail on this fly about the same length as the hook. Okay, now when my kids are fishing, I actually don't put a lot of weight on my salmon flies. The hooks are big enough, it'll sink down, but I'm going to show you the weights I like. These are little Dumbbell Eyes, and you can see on a salmon hook, the eye of your hook curves up. So I will put these actually on the bottom, and I wrap about 4 times. And then I come around and wrap about 4 times here, get everything kind of set, and then I just start doing kind of a figure 8, a couple wraps each. And then what I like to do, I've actually fished with the same fly all day long before in Alaska. I like to get, whoops, that's coming out fast. That must have been stored upside down in our we have a carry-on fly tying kit for salmon that we pack in our suitcase. I just pulled all this out, so. But we put a dab of super glue on and then just kind of go back and forth, and you can see everything is just kind of crisscrossed on there. So this is going to go through the water with the hook down, and I'm okay with that because where we fish, it's just kind of a gravelly bottom, not a lot of big rocks, so we don't get a lot of snags. All right, so the next thing we will do is, I like to use this hot pink Marabou, and it's bright, but the salmon like it that way in our experience. So what I'll do is I'll just pull out a pretty big hunk of this, and I'll line it up with my crystal flash. And then I will cinch that down. And then what I like to do is put a little bit of more flash on the fly. So I'll put some on top. So I've kind of sandwiched the crystal flash, some on top, some on the bottom. So that they're definitely going to see the flashy part of this fly. All right, the next thing, sorry, I just pulled out all our salmon fly tying stuff. I don't even know what that was. Okay, so this is called a staz, and it's a really bright, shiny body material. And so we just throw that right on. And then we just simply wrap it up. Now this is, the size on this is largest as, and so it's kind of buggy as I wrap it around, which is great because it does give a little bit of action as it goes through the water. And then once I get to these eyes, you can see that I crisscrossed in kind of that figure 8 and then came across the front. Okay, so now we've got our staz on there. The next thing we'll do is we'll simply just put a big old pink head on this. And we have found that you don't need to get overly complicated on your salmon flies. This little pattern, you can tie a bunch of them really quick. Don't have to bring a lot of stuff with you on the plane. I did put all my fly tying stuff in our check bag just because these scissors may be used for terrorist activity on a plane or something, probably. Who knows? Better be safe. Don't want to get the fly tying stuff confiscated. Okay, and then I just put a little dab of super glue on, and I'll flip it around. So that, my friends, is a very easy to tie salmon fly. And how we fish this is we cast it into the current, and then we sometimes we slowly strip it in, sometimes we strip it in fast. I found that the silvers tends to trigger them if you're stripping it a little faster. But if you got a lot of pink salmon in there, we'll simply just throw it out in the current and let it drift down and drag through them and hopefully get a hookup. So thank you for watching this episode of Aaron at the Fly Desk and our rendition of the pink salmon fly. Thank you for watching.